Have you ever felt that shiver down your spine in an old historic place? Not just, from the cold, but something deeper, like a sense of the past just clinging to the air.
Yeah, almost like you can feel it, a kind of heaviness.
Exactly. A prickle on your skin, maybe. Or just this chilling silence that feels like it's humming with something forgotten.
Absolutely. There are definitely places like that. Places that don't just exist in history, they almost seem to, breathe it.
Whispering tales, maybe, of things that happened long ago.
Yeah.
Often tragic things.
Right.
So today, we're embarking on a deep dive into exactly those kinds of places.
It's a fascinating topic.
It really is. And look, this isn't just about surface-level ghost stories, though we'll definitely get into the legends, because they're captivating.
Sure, they're part of the story.
But our mission today is more about understanding how these iconic sites, think Delhi's Khooni Darwaza, the Tower of London, India's Bhangarh Fort, how they stand at that really eerie intersection of history and, what many feel is horror. What's truly compelling and what we really want to unpack is that underneath almost every chilling tale, every whisper of a ghost, there's often a profound political revolution or a crucial sociological lesson, maybe a lingering psychological scar.
That's a great point. They're much more than just tourist spots.
Far more. Some people call them memory palaces of pain, living monuments really to our collective past that still have this powerful influence today.
That's a very evocative phrase, memory palaces of pain. It fits.
So our goal in this deep dive is to peel back those layers of history, explore the psychological and sociological impacts these places have on us, and also examine their surprising modern relevance.
Oh, okay.
We've gone through a whole stack of sources, articles, historical research, cultural analyses to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you.
Yeah.
To help you become truly well-informed about these complex, captivating, and often terrifying spaces.
Sounds like a journey.
It is. So get ready for maybe a few of those shivers, because we're starting now. We'll begin with their origins, often quite blood-soaked. Then we'll move into how they function now as sites of collective trauma. And finally, we'll look at the intriguing ways they're experienced today, balancing tourism with this really profound historical reckoning.
It's a fascinating evolution, isn't it? How these places aren't static, their reputations shift, reflecting the world around them. They become more than just stone and mortar.
That's it, exactly. Because to really grasp what makes these places feel haunted, whether that's literal or metaphorical, we absolutely have to start at the beginning. Their historical roots, often roots steeped in violence.
The foundation matters.
Let's call this first part the bloody canvas historical roots of haunting. And our first stop, the ancient heart of Delhi, India, a place known, chillingly, as the Khooni Darwaza.
Khooni Darwaza, it translates directly as the bloody gate. The name alone tells you something, doesn't it?
It certainly does. But its origin wasn't so grim, right?
Not at all, actually. It was built way back in the 1540s by Sher Shah Suri. He was a powerful Afghan ruler who, briefly took over from the Mughals. And it wasn't built for terror. It was just, a practical city gate, part of Delhi's fortifications, designed for passage control. One of 7 gates in the old city.
So just a regular gate for a long time.
Decades, yeah. It just saw the normal ebb and flow of city life. Merchants, soldiers, travelers passing through. Pretty standard imperial architecture for the time.
So functional, busy, normal even, until 1857.
Yes. 1857. That's the pivotal year, a really tumultuous time in Indian history. This is where the gate gets its name and its reputation changes forever, irrevocably.
What exactly happened?
Well, this is where the gate's whole identity shifts. It's a massive cultural moment. After the Indian Rebellion of 1857, this huge uprising against British East India Company rule, Delhi was besieged and eventually recaptured by the British.
Oh.
And in the aftermath, in this really shocking act of retribution, a British officer, Major William Hodson, he executed 3 unarmed Mughal princes right there at the gate.
Unarmed, publicly.
Yes. And these weren't just anybody. They were Bahadur Shah Zafar's sons, Mirza Mughal and Khizr Sultan, and his grandson, Abu Bakr, the last real heirs of the Mughal Empire.
Wow.
It was a brutal public display of power, calculated, meant to crush any lingering symbol of Mughal authority, send a clear message.
And that's what transformed the gate.
Completely. It went from being just imperial architecture to this searing symbol of colonial brutality. And here's a key insight, something often missed. The name Khooni Darwaza wasn't really used before this. It was coined after this event, during the colonial period.
So the name itself is a product of the violence.
Exactly. It became widely known as the Bloody Gate then, and that descriptor just got etched into collective memory, a permanent stain.
Just imagine that. A busy city gate, a place of everyday life, suddenly becoming the symbol of immense loss, of a whole dynasty just extinguished, and these raw power dynamics laid bare. Really makes you think, doesn't it? How history gets literally carved into the stone of a city. The city itself becomes this painful record.
Precisely. And the renaming isn't just a label. It signifies a total reinterpretation of the gate's meaning. It's no longer just an entrance, it's a warning, a memorial, a focus of trauma, a scar on the city.
A scar. That's a powerful image. Okay, let's travel now. Across continents, to the UK, to a fortress that probably needs little introduction. The Tower of London.
Ah, the Tower. Yeah, synonymous with both majesty and misery, isn't it?
Definitely Norman origins, right? Going way back to 1078, William the Conqueror himself.
That's right. Built shortly after the Norman conquest. And it wasn't just defensive, it was built deliberately to intimidate, a symbol of the new Norman power over the English, that big central white tower, designed to strike fear from day one.
Projecting power. But the real bloodshed, the stuff of legends, that came later, during the Tudor period.
Arguably, yes. The 1500s, the Tudor era, that's when it really earned its reputation for terror and high-stakes drama.
We're talking about famous figures here.
Absolutely. People like Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's second wife, executed in 1536 on basically trumped-up charges, and then Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, poor girl, beheaded in 1554, only 17 years old.
Queens, nobility, not just common criminals.
Exactly. Executed for political reasons to consolidate power. It really shows the ruthless nature of Tudor politics, how even those right at the top could end up imprisoned and executed within those same walls. A chilling reminder of how precarious life was, even for royalty.
What I find really fascinating, though, is the tower's other uses. It wasn't just a prison, was it? There's this almost bizarre paradox there. Luxury and death side by side.
You're absolutely right. It had this ghoul function, a formidable prison, yes, for countless political and religious prisoners, but also, at various times, a royal palace.
A palace? Really?
Oh, yes. Hosted lavish banquets, state events. Henry VIII even lived there for a while before moving to Westminster. Imagine the same walls seeing opulent celebrations while holding prisoners downstairs waiting for death.
That's quite the contrast.
And then there's the lesser-known stuff, like the Royal Zoo. For centuries, it housed a menagerie. Lions, elephants, even a polar bear, apparently.
A zoo inside the tower.
Yep. Drew crowds, symbolized royal prestige, and much more recently, during World War II, it held high-profile spies. Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, was briefly imprisoned there in 1941.
Wow. So its history just keeps evolving. Always significant, but in different ways.
Exactly. It constantly adapts its purpose, but keeps that formidable presence.
Royalty and rebellion, luxury and execution, wild animals and spies.
Yeah.
All within the same walls. It's just incredible, the sheer range of human drama that place has witnessed.
It absolutely is. And you have to wonder how all those disparate energies, those intense moments, might leave some kind of imprint, contributing to that unique atmosphere it has today.
Yeah, that palpable feeling. Okay, let's head back to India now, but to a very different kind of site. One shrouded in mystery, often called one of the most haunted places in the country. Bhangarh Fort in Rajasthan.
Ah, Bhangarh.
Yeah.
Its reputation is built on something quite different from the others.
Built in 1573, right? By Raja Bhagwant Das for his son. It was apparently a thriving town once.
It was a center of Rajput architecture and power, bustling with life, but its dark reputation. That doesn't come from documented political violence like Khooni Darwaza or the Tower.
It comes from folklore.
Exactly. Deeply rooted in popular 17th century folklore, specifically the story of a rejected sorcerer.
Okay, tell us about that.
The main story involves a powerful tantric sorcerer, Sinhai. He supposedly fell in love with the beautiful princess Ratnavati. She rejected him, so he tried using black magic to win her over.
Oh.
Yeah. But the princess discovered his plan, thwarted it, and it led to the sorcerer's death. But before he died, furious, he cursed the entire town, doomed it to desolation and eternal haunting.
And that's why it's ruined today, because of the curse.
That's the legend. The curse is said to have led to its abandonment and ruin. So the haunting context here is purely cultural, mythical, rooted in local beliefs about magic, fate, consequences, not state violence. It's a fascinating window into local Indian narratives.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because it's not just local whispers. There's an official angle too, right? The Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI.
Yes, that's a crucial, often lesser-known fact that adds this whole other layer. The ASI, the government body responsible for these sites, has actually posted official warnings, strictly forbidding visitors from entering Bhangarh after sunset and before sunrise.
That's unusual for a government body, isn't it? To seemingly acknowledge folklore like that?
It's incredibly significant, almost unprecedented. They don't explicitly say why it's banned, which leaves room for interpretation, but the ban itself elevates the legend. It's not just superstition anymore, it's something requiring official action with legal consequences if you ignore it.
So it raises that question. Is the ban about actual danger or managing perceptions, or just practical safety in a remote, ruined place after dark?
Exactly. What's the line between history, legend, and official precaution? It really makes you think about the power of belief itself and how it can actually shape policy.
And you have to wonder if those warnings, even if practical, just end up reinforcing the supernatural story. Making it forbidden makes it more alluring, maybe.
Could be. It certainly adds to the mystique. These historical roots, colonial brutality, royal intrigue, ancient curses, they're the soil where the psychological and sociological impact really grows.
Which is where we're heading next. Because the surface boo of a ghost story, that's just the start, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The layers underneath are far more compelling. Why these places grip our imagination so tightly, how they affect us in ways we might not even realize.
Exactly. We're moving beyond the boo. Psychological and sociological layers. Let's start with that idea you mentioned earlier, these places as memory palaces of pain. What does that really mean?
It means the past suffering isn't just a fact in a book, it feels present, culpable. Like the stones, the air, the silence itself absorb the anguish that happened there.
So you feel it, not just learn about it. Right, it becomes this resonant space where collective traumas are held, preserved, and almost re-experienced viscerally by visitors. It's an emotional connection to history.
And there's a psychological theory that might explain why we're drawn to these places, these stories of trauma. Freud's repetition compulsion.
Right. Freud suggested this is a psychological thing where individuals, or maybe even whole societies, feel this unconscious urge to repeat or revisit traumatic events or circumstances, even painful ones.
Why would we do that?
Think about it. We retell stories of atrocities, we reenact battles, watch documentaries about tragedies, visit these memory palaces. Freud might say it's not just morbid curiosity, it's a subconscious drive, a way our collective psyche tries to master or process overwhelming, unresolved traumas from the past.
Like we're compelled to revisit the darkness, to understand it maybe, or process collective grief.
Possibly, trying to gain some mastery, perhaps. Or finally work through what was unbearable. It feels like a very human response to trauma.
Then there's an even more abstract idea, one that really broadens the definition of haunting. Jacques Derrida's hauntology.
Yes. Derrida's idea is that these places aren't just haunted by literal ghosts, apparitions. They're haunted by what's absent.
Absent. How so?
By the specter of ideologies that die but still exert influence. By traumas never truly resolved. By cultural guilt that casts a long shadow.
So at Khooni Darwaza, the haunting isn't the prince's ghosts, but the ghost of the lost empire, the colonial brutality.
Exactly. Or at the tower, it's the spectral presence of monarchical ruthlessness, even though the institution changed. It's the echo of failed promises, forgotten stories, systemic injustices that still shape the present, even though they're technically gone.
So when we say a place is haunted, are we maybe talking about the lingering echoes of injustice, unresolved societal pain, suppressed history that won't stay buried?
It really forces you to rethink haunting, doesn't it? Challenges our perception. Maybe the real ghost is the weight of history itself, always nudging at our collective consciousness.
Which leads us nicely into dark tourism. People visit these places steeped in death and suffering. It's not just for a cheap thrill, is it? There must be deeper reasons.
You're right. Curiosity is part of it, sure. But visiting can be deeply cathartic. It offers a structured, almost ritualistic way to release collective grief, confront difficult emotions, process sorrow in a relatively safe space.
A shared emotional experience.
Often, yeah, even with strangers. A sense of communal mourning or introspection. For many, it feels like a necessary act of remembrance.
And beyond catharsis, they also serve as powerful cautionary tales.
Absolutely. They offer profound lessons about power, corruption, the legacies of colonialism, conflict, injustice. Standing at Khooni Darwaza reminds you of the brutal results of unchecked colonial power. The tower confronts you with ruthless monarchical rule, the fragility of life against political ambition.
Stark reminders.
Tangible reminders of what happens when power is unchecked. They're potent warnings against repeating past mistakes.
So these visits almost become like sociological rituals, like visiting Auschwitz or Hiroshima or memorials.
That's a really powerful comparison. These are sites where societies confront their shared past, even the uncomfortable, shameful parts. It's a ritual of remembrance and reckoning, a communal acknowledgement of events that shaped us.
Bearing witness.
Exactly, bearing witness, trying to ensure the hard lessons aren't forgotten, but integrated into our understanding of the present and our hopes for the future. It's like saying, we see what happened, we remember.
So what stands out most? The catharsis, the warning, the ritual. Maybe it's all of it, tapping into something deeply human, seeking to understand suffering, learn from it, transcend it.
It feels like a combination. These aren't just dusty old places. These walls still speak. Which brings us to their modern relevance, how they continue to shape our world.
Right. The past isn't just past, it's active, influential.
Constantly shaping the present.
Okay, let's explore that. These walls still speak modern relevance and dark tourism. How do these sites function now? Let's go back to Khooni Darwaza. It's not isolated anymore, is it?
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of bustling Delhi traffic.
Completely surrounded, almost swallowed by modern Delhi. But its history, far from forgotten. Its dark past often fuels political narratives, especially about colonial violence in contemporary India.
So it's still a potent symbol.
Very potent, often invoked in discussions about national identity, historical grievances against British rule, anti-colonial sentiment. It shows its ongoing political power. How a centuries-old site still actively shapes present-day discourse reminds people of past injustices.
Think about that. A site hundreds of years old, still igniting debate, shaping political narratives today. How does it keep echoing like that? It's amazing, the enduring weight of history.
And it shows its continued use as a symbolic touchstone for various groups, leveraging its historical weight for their causes.
Now, the Tower of London, another fascinating modern example, but maybe different. It's a huge tourist draw, right? Commercially very successful.
Absolutely. It's a global magnet. Millions visit every year for the history, the crown jewels, the beef eaters. But it's not just a fun day out. It plays this crucial, sometimes uncomfortable role in the UK's ongoing reckoning with its bloody monarchical past.
How so?
Well, tourists come for the spectacle, the grand narrative, but they inevitably encounter the grim realities, executions, imprisonment, power struggles. The exhibits don't shy away from the dark stuff.
So tourism and historical introspection coexist.
It's a unique balancing act. Popular tourism facilitates this confrontation with a complex, often brutal national past, even while people are enjoying the cultural heritage. It's this strange blend of entertainment and somber education.
It is a strange balance, isn't it? Enjoying a landmark while confronting a nation's brutal past. What does that feel like? Fascination and discomfort mixed together.
It creates this interesting tension. The past is commercialized and contemplated, often by the same person at the same time.
And Bhangarh Fort. It's supposedly India's most visited haunted site.
Yeah.
Hugely popular, especially with Instagrammers.
Yes, this is where the paradox gets really amplified by modern trends. It draws huge crowds, tons of digital attention from thrill seekers, content creators looking for that spooky backdrop.
But it's still banned at night by the ASI.
Exactly, so you have this tension between its allure as haunted and the official regulations. The ban might even amplify the mystique, making it more coveted, more forbidden, especially for those seeking an authentic, spooky experience, even if it's just during the day.
So here's the big question. How does social media, with its focus on viral trends, visual spectacle, quick hits, how does that affect how we engage with serious historical sites like Bhangarh? Does it bring attention? Sure. But does a viral Instagram post really deepen understanding? Or does it risk turning profound history into just another fleeting digital spectacle? Consumed, not comprehended.
That's a critical question, and it leads straight into the broader phenomenon these sites embody: dark tourism.
Right. Search hashtag haunted history or hashtag creepy places.
And you find endless posts, videos, articles, driving global attention to these grim but fascinating places.
But there's a downside.
A significant one, yes. We need to be critical. This trend can dilute serious historical discourse by sensationalizing the past. The focus shifts from understanding complex events and human impact to just seeking a superficial thrill, An Instagrammable moment, content for a viral video.
Trivializing history.
Risking it, certainly. Reducing real suffering to a backdrop for entertainment.
So, while the hashtags bring attention, do they really deepen understanding? Or just turn history into digital spectacle? It's a fine line.
It highlights the challenge of preserving historical integrity and respect in this hyper-sensationalized digital age.
And part of that challenge and the intrigue lies in untangling the stories, unpacking the legends, myths, truths, and cultural narratives. Let's start back at Khooni Darwaza. The popular myth is it's literally haunted by the ghosts of those Mughal princes, right? Cold spots, feelings of dread.
That myth is powerful, connects directly to the trauma, but many historians argue the haunting is more metaphorical.
Metaphorical.
Yeah. Not literal ghosts, but the enduring ghost of a lost empire, the betrayal, the brutality, the lingering pain of that colonial act resonating through time. Symbolizing the dynasty's demise, the dawn of an oppressive era. It's a deeper, more academic take, shifting from individual spirits to collective historical weight.
That's a subtle but crucial difference. A literal ghost versus the haunting legacy of immense historical loss, which feels more powerful to you. It makes you think about collective memory, symbolism.
The metaphorical haunting often carries a weight, a resonance that a simple ghost story can't fully capture. It speaks to history's ongoing impact.
Okay, Tower of London. The myth there is more general, right? That anyone who enters is cursed. Or the place itself brings misfortune.
That's a dramatic idea, but the real, actively maintained legend is about the ravens.
Ah, the ravens. If they leave, the crown falls.
Exactly, that's the folklore. And it's not just left to chance. The ravens you see there today, at least 6, plus a spare. They're actively protected by the yeoman warders. Their wings are clipped so they can't fly away.
Fiercely, they clip their wings.
Yes. It's a deliberate effort by the institution to keep that specific narrative alive. Cultivating mystique, historical continuity, British character. It's a living myth, perpetuated by the tower's custodians.
Why do institutions do that? Actively cultivate myths. Is it tourism, tradition, national identity?
Probably a mix of all three. Reinforces timelessness, unique character, connection to a storied past, even if it needs a bit of active maintenance, weaving history and folklore into identity.
In Bhangarh, the myth is terrifying. Stay overnight, you die.
Potent stuff. Keeps people away after dark, for sure. But the truth.
No confirmed deaths.
Correct. No confirmed deaths linked to staying overnight. The fear and the lack of overnight visitors is mostly down to the ASI's official warnings and the real fear of legal trouble for ignoring them.
So official rules are more effective than ghosts.
In this case, it seems so. It shows how governmental authority can shape behavior and perception of danger, maybe even more than supernatural claims. Also speaks to a cultural difference to official decrees.
So the real danger isn't a ghost, but getting fined. Makes you wonder how much our fear is shaped by warnings, not direct experience.
It really does. Shows a haunting can be enforced by human rules, not just spooky stuff. The power of authority and belief.
Which brings us to cultural variations. Ghost lore isn't the same everywhere, is it? Western ghosts often want justice, like Anne Boleyn seeking retribution.
Often, yes. Trapped by unresolved earthly issues. But in contrast, South Asian lore often features ghosts as karmic or cursed beings, reflecting beliefs about fate, retribution, spiritual consequences.
Like Bhangarh's curse, affecting the whole town.
Exactly. The focus shifts from individual justice to broader societal or spiritual outcomes, reflecting different understandings of morality, consequence, interconnectedness, a collective fate tied to one act.
And public rituals differ too.
Hugely. In places like Japan or Thailand, haunted sites often get immense respect. Offerings, quiet reverence, rituals to appease or guide spirits, emphasis on harmony.
But Bhangarh,
It's more complex. You see reverence from believers, approaching with fear, but also a lot of thrill-seeking from those drawn by the haunted fame, wanting an eerie experience, maybe even defying the warnings. A different kind of engagement.
it's fascinating how different cultures interpret and interact with the unseen, the trauma. It tells you so much about their core beliefs, values, relationship with the past.
Absolutely. The stories we tell about the dead, how we interact with their presence, reveal so much about the living.
Okay, let's deepen this with some expert insights. What do leading academics, researchers think are the real hauntings? We've got psychologists, historians, even a paranormal researcher.
Right. Multiple disciplines weigh in. Dr. Philip Stone from the Institute for Dark Tourism Research has a psychological theory. He suggests these places offer a controlled way to confront our universal anxieties about death and mortality.
Like exposure therapy.
Sort of. Dark tourism as a coping mechanism, engaging safely with existential fears, human suffering, without direct threat, processing anxieties about our own finitude from a distance.
Profound. Seeking out these places to prepare ourselves, maybe? Then there's historian Professor Sumit Sarkar on Khooni Darwaza.
Sarkar views it as the symbolic grave of Mughal sovereignty, highlighting the immense historical weight, the irreversible loss. It's not just where princes died, it's where an empire met its symbolic, violent end, a monument to that downfall, that shift in India's destiny.
And Professor Parul Dev Mukherjee, an art historian on Bhangarh.
Her argument is fascinating. Bhangarh represents the aestheticization of fear, where folklore becomes architecture. The cultural narrative, the curse, literally shapes how we see the physical ruins.
So the story makes the ruins scary.
Exactly. The crumbling walls become imbued with the story's terror. Fear becomes part of the site's identity, its aesthetic. The ruins are a stage for the folklore in the visitor's mind.
Like the story breathes life into the stones. A terrifying kind of beauty. Okay, we have these scholarly views, but there's also the paranormal perspective. Gaurav Tiwari.
Yes, the late Gaurav Tiwari, a well-known Indian paranormal researcher. He documented what he called energetic anomalies in Bhangarh, unusual EMF fluctuations, temperature drops, sensory things not easily explained.
Are those findings accepted?
Not by conventional science, no. They remain unproven, but they absolutely attract believers and add to the fort's mystique. It shows how scientific, academic, and anecdotal approaches coexist. Even if skeptics dismiss them, these claims feed the cultural narrative, appeal to those seeking non-historical explanations. Adds another layer.
So, historians, sociologists, art historians, paranormal researchers.
Yeah.
What does this variety tell us about finding the truth at these sites?
It tells us truth is layered, fragmented, open to interpretation, especially with phenomena touching belief, trauma, the subconscious. No single lens gets the whole picture.
And these aren't just abstract theories. People have real, visceral experiences. Let's look at some case studies, real-life examples. Khooni Darwaza had a chilling recent echo, right?
Tragically, yes. In 2002, Khooni Darwaza, site of the prince's execution, became a flashpoint for contemporary tensions. It saw communal violence during a protest related to the Gujarat riots memorial.
Wow. Past blood echoing in the present.
The symbolism was incredibly heavy. A site of historical trauma, again witnessing contemporary violence. It showed starkly how these sites can become flashpoints, where unresolved past traumas manifest in new, real conflicts. The haunting can be very much alive and violent.
That's incredibly sobering. The ghosts aren't always ethereal. They can be real violence repeating, triggered by historical memory.
History isn't static, it's dynamic, influencing, sometimes erupting into the present.
And the Tower of London. People report feeling watched in the White Tower.
Quite common in places with dark histories, often traced to psychological suggestion, place memory. When you know the grim history, your mind might interpret ambiguous things, shadows, drafts, quiet as a presence.
So our knowledge primes us.
Exactly. Narrative, history, perception interact. Our minds, knowing the past, kind of complete the ghost story.
And Bhangarh tourists often feel unease, nausea, attributed to the curse.
That's the immediate jump, yes. But we should consider environmental factors too. Strong electromagnetic fields, EMF, from various sources can cause anxiety, dizziness, nausea in some people.
EMF, like from power lines or something.
Or old wiring, geological formations. Also things like unusual air pressure, poor air quality, even infrasound, low-frequency sound we can't hear but feel in old spaces can cause unease.
So, real sensations, but maybe not paranormal.
Possibly. They could be subtle environmental factors contributing to the eerie reputation, even if they aren't literal ghosts.
These are real experiences, though. Physical, emotional responses. What does it mean when history, myth, environment can evoke such strong reactions today?
It just underscores that profound, intricate link between our surroundings, our knowledge, our beliefs, and our psychological state. They're truly integrated experiences.
Okay, we've explored the depths, origins, impact, myths, relevance. But we need to end with a critical look at dark tourism itself, because it's powerful, but definitely a double-edged sword.
Very important point. Weighing the benefits against the pitfalls. Let's start with the strengths, because there are positives.
Definitely. Number one,
Yeah.
it promotes historical awareness.
Absolutely. By drawing attention to these significant events and people, dark tourism educates. It makes history tangible, immediate, emotional, fosters a deeper understanding than a textbook, brings history alive, even the grim parts, ensures lessons aren't forgotten.
And it opens conversations.
Crucial ones about trauma, justice, remembrance, consequences. These sites catalyze dialogue, prompt reflection on power, conflict, cruelty, the human cost. Can be tools for healing, reconciliation, empathy, encourage self-reflection.
Plus, practical benefits. Tourism encourages preservation.
Yes. Popularity provides economic incentive and resources for preservation, maintenance, ensures these landmarks survive as educational, commemorative spaces for the future. Interest drives preservation, which fuels interest. A cycle.
But the other edge of the sword.
Oh.
Weaknesses, dangers. Commercialization and sensationalization is a big one.
Huge drawback. Sites and content around them get commercialized, sensationalized. Ghost hunting videos, horror vlogs, prioritizing shock value over accuracy or respect, reducing complex, painful histories to spectacle, suffering to a consumer product.
Which leads to distorting history.
Precisely. Entertainment and viral content needs can twist complex histories into simple, haunted cliches. Intricate politics, social injustice, personal tragedies get lost for dramatic supernatural narratives, trivializing real suffering, misrepresenting facts for thrills.
And the risk of disrespecting victims.
Perhaps the worst part. Focusing on thrills risks disrespecting real victims. These were places of profound suffering, lives lost, families broken. Reducing them to spooky fun or ghost hunt backdrops is offensive, insensitive to their memory. Gotta remember the human element.
Beyond weaknesses, there are active dangers too. Political manipulation.
Serious one. Khooni Darwaza, with its colonial brutality symbolism, can be exploited to ignite anti-British or communal sentiment today. Weaponizing history, turning remembrance sites into tools for division, resentment, even present-day conflict. Using the past for divisive agendas.
And just disregarding historical truth for viral myth.
A growing problem in the digital age. Desire for viral content leads to ignoring verified history for clicks and shares. Spreading misinformation, where fabricated tales become more believed than actual events, blurring fact and fiction.
This critical analysis really shows these sites offer profound opportunities but carry huge responsibilities. For managers, for us as visitors, how do we navigate that balance? Interest versus integrity, curiosity versus respect.
It's a challenge. It speaks to our maturity in engaging with the past, our responsibility to honor it, not exploit it.
So wrapping up this deep dive, why do we seek these stories? Why return to these places soaked in blood and tears?
We return to these memory palaces of pain, I think. Not just for thrills, but to find meaning in our collective past. The stone walls speak because we keep listening. They're witnesses to the human condition, its cruelty, its resilience.
These bloodstained histories, layered with power, loss, legend. They resonate because they're fundamental to who we are. They challenge us, provoke us, warn us, haunt us.
In a world rushing forward, chasing the new, it's often these darkest corners of history that really illuminate who we are, reflecting our capacity for darkness and hope, our curiosity, our need to understand where we came from.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, what do you choose to remember from these journeys into the past? And what do you fear forgetting?